you live from Parkway Diner at 7 p.m. on Monday, March 24th, the year of our Lord 2025. And boy, are we ready to rock and roll. Oh my goodness, it's a little out of control, I will admit. So it's, as usual, you may or may have not noticed, I've been kind of mixing it up with things. So I'll tell you, one of the, always they talk about the buried lead, the story that should be the headline, but it's not the headline. Well, tonight it's going to be about Syria. All right, there's been a little development in Syria that's going to alter the power, balance of power in that region, and it is shocking, but you have to stick around for it. Now, I just also want to throw in, this thought did occur to me, and so I'll just throw it up. Did Putin miscalculate? All right, so like I was suggesting to Eric, it is possible that Putin miscalculated both tactically and strategically with respect to attacking Ukraine. The bottom line is that he didn't get what he expected, all right? So yes, he has followed an old World War II battlefield strategy of slowly grinding away and taking territory, but the statistics will show you that he hasn't taken nearly as much territory as people think he has. Meantime, though, you know, we've seen the cost that's been imposed on Ukraine and what other people have tried to do to help Ukraine. None of this is working out the way anyone wants it to work out. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio said it best. For this, there is no military solution, only a negotiated solution. And I think he's absolutely right. Meantime, I need to tell you about this really awesome book. Here it is. A War That Has Many Fathers. So it's a historical account of the events between 1918 and 1939 primarily. A little foreground, a little looking at it, you know, after the event. But one of the key points, I want to hold this up again here. One of the key points that this author makes, which I find fascinating, is that when you, as he's done the hard work for compiling both primary and secondary sources like any historical researcher should. In the process of doing this, he discovered that, let's say, the particular parties who were involved both before and after World War II, before and after World War II had very different takes on these events. And so obviously they're trying to cover their rear end, trying to make themselves look better. But it's, I think it's an astonishing point to make about something as important as World War II. He's on it, and I hope to tell you more about that book as I get through it. All right, now, where to start? Yes, Governor Polis. You got to contact Governor Polis. He needs more pressure, all right? Got to stay on the boy. Tina really needs to be given clemency, let out of the prison. But then again, if it's an opportunity to have the Department of Justice perp walk Governor Polis, I'm all for that. Yeah, so I don't know, I'm a little torn, but I would prefer to have Tina released as soon as possible. All right, so the theme for this week, if you haven't had a chance to read the newsletter, is about judges obstructing justice. So Exhibit A, of course, is justice, or judge. What is it, Johannesburg? I keep screwing up, Boasberg. And he won't quit. So you got to give him credit for that. But I just don't understand, because the kinds of claims that he's making are so outside the bounds of his job description, it defies explanation. It becomes obvious that he's only trying to do one thing, get in the way. That's it. Whatever he can say, whatever he can demand, where he can slow down what Trump is doing, he feels like he's accomplishing his mission. Which leads me to one of the other points here, and that is directed at our Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Pam, I'm telling you right now, I am not happy with the way you're conducting this, all right? I understand that things take time. You have to compile evidence. You have to check all the information, etc. But we're in a hot situation here. I don't know what timeline you're looking at, but we don't have all the time in the world. And if anything, you listen to people saying that we could have as little as 6 months in which to get things done before the Democrats find other ways to slow us down. But already it seems like it's happening now. And you're in a position to stop this, do it. And the same message applies to Representative Jordan and the others. Dissolve the courts. You can do this. It's in the Constitution. You can dissolve these courts. These are not constitutional courts. They were created by the legislature. You have the power to get rid of them, teach them a lesson, and get rid of them, right? And then suddenly they're going to discover this little thing called the U.S. Constitution, and they'll rule accordingly. So I just had to throw that in. Also a note about Laura Loomer. I think, you know, Laura Loomer is one of these people that for many people we've kind of, it blows hot and cold. She says and does things that gets people upset, and now we don't like her. And then she goes off and does something else that's fantastic, and all of a sudden we're in love with Laura again. Well, we're in the let's love Laura phase all over again. When she found out that Boasberg's daughter was involved in areas that were a clear conflict of interest with respect to Boasberg, it's like, hey, but again, she's shown it. I would expect Pam Bondi to jump on this, all right? It's right in front of you. It's low-hanging fruit. What is going on, okay? Therein lies the problem. So judges are obstructing justice, but Pam is having trouble finding justice. Moving on, okay? Now, some of you may have heard this. It's really extraordinary. There are moments, okay, when people are doing research that promises to completely change everything that we thought, knew, and believed to be true. Okay, so Alex Jones did a piece on it. I think the original article might have been from the Gateway Pundit or the Daily Mail. And they talked about how these scientists had been using satellites. It's not clear if we talk about satellites or drones, but there's a category of what's called, it's the fancy term, I'm sorry, I got to use the fancy term, synthetic aperture radar that is ground penetrating. So the argument they're making is that this ground penetrating radar was used to scan the area underneath the pyramids, and especially the Khafre pyramid. They found some very striking imagery. I apologize not having it, but when you look at it, you don't know what to think, okay? So their conjecture at this point, and hopefully the Egyptian government will let them do what needs to be done to verify this or correct it, was that there appear to be columns. Each column is about 30 feet in diameter. There's 8 of them. And they seem to go down into the ground, hold on to your hat, as much as, or maybe more than 2 kilometers.
2,000 feet.
Yes, this is mind-blowing. How do you dig that much sand in order to do something like that? I mean, there's just a host of questions that need to be addressed with this. So if it bears out to be true, even partially true, it will change everything we know about Egyptian history. So I just had to tell you about it, all right? Meantime, the next story here as I try to race through this. Okay. There is, hey guys, all right, hello, how you doing? All right, so our friends have just shown up, so we'll keep going here, keep rolling. All right, the hot issue here is that Mr. Roberts, Chief Justice Roberts, is not serving the Supreme Court well at all. If anything, his comments have given license to Judge Boasberg and others like him. Did Justice Roberts really understand what he was getting himself into? We want to believe that he did, but here's the real problem. I don't remember if it was last week, but we have since learned that Chief Justice Roberts is the member of a club. a secret judges club in Washington, D.C. Who knew? Okay? And so here's the part that should really be a kick in the pants. This club, which is highly selective and secretive, has a president. Are you ready to hear about who the president of this club is? Judge Boasberg. How do you like them apples? And are you ready for the vice president? Thanks. Are you ready for the vice president? Justice Ketanji Brown. Little Ms. I can't define a woman. She's the vice president of this club. Wow. Who knew? Okay, so talk about a conflict of interest, okay? He's got a problem. So under this section here for Killing SCOTUS, which sounds like a great book for Bill O'Reilly, in case you're listening, Bill, Killing SCOTUS, you can take it, it's yours. Yes, there's another link here where we talk about how obstruction is the plan, all right? Because the so-called rulings that they issue are irrational. They have nothing to do with the Constitution. They're baseless, but they insist on going in that direction. And then Chris Christie had to make an obnoxious statement suggesting, well, gee, if Trump isn't very nice to Roberts, he just might rule against him. Okay, so now all of a sudden, how you deal with this with the Supreme Court is supposed to be based on feelings. Get real. Get real. All right, next. Okay. All right, so for what it's worth, the envoy for the Ukraine-Russia conflict, that would be Mr. Witkoff, is optimistic that a settlement will be realized, so good for him. Meantime, somewhat related to this problem has been a recent development in Syria. Okay, so here is a weird map of Syria. I'll explain it. And the new government of Syria wants to give a certain region of Syria to, wait for it, Turkey. Well, wait a second, let's consult the map. Now, if you look carefully, you'll see a town there, Tadur. That's considered a district in Syria. Is that district anywhere near any kind of border with Turkey? No, it's not. So what are they talking about? This can only upset things, okay? Now, that section, the Tadmur district section, borders on Iraq, okay? Turkey and Iraq, they're doing okay with each other, okay? But it also brings the Turkish military that much closer to Israel. As some people have pointed out, this has biblical overtones, okay? Dare I mention the names Gog and Magog, all right? So let me just, how do you say it?
Magog.
Magog, okay. So once again, take a look at that. Look at where that is. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. This is going to be run by Turkey right here. That section. So let me consult the other map here for your benefit. Okay. So this map, it's a recognition that Syria is and remains one hot mess. Okay? All right. So the Tadmur district would be right about there. Okay? Right in that area. So when you read what this person put in there, he said, no Syrian has touched these lands ever. That area of Syria is just desert. It's absolutely desolate. There's nothing there. You got a few tiny villages. But you should also know that that is part of the area where the group that took over organized and staged their raids and attacks and eventually took over the government from that area. So, funny thing. Meantime, seriously, you've got the Alewites, okay, an odd Christian sect. You've got the Druze, another Christian sect. They're more in the southwest corner of the country. And now you've got temporary occupation by Israel in some of these areas around Golan Heights and into that piece of Syria. Yeah, it's just all these areas, they're so different from each other. How you can think of this as a unified country is beyond me. Okay, so that I want you to be aware of, because this Tadmur thing could get ugly soon. Meantime, Let's see, what's the other thing I wanted to grab here? Oh, yeah. Yeah. The Shut Down China Project. All right, where do you start with this? I'll get to that, bear with me. All right, right now, let's go to this one here. Another piece of good news. You have a 14-year-old boy who was vaccinated against his will by a school district or hospital in, I want to say West Virginia. In any event, the court has said they can go ahead and sue because they violated informed consent. So that's the heart of that one. Stay tuned. Now, something totally weird, totally unexpected came across, and I thought, interesting. So the headline really says it all. All right, one big reason for fewer babies, cell phones. So you mean to tell me that women are spending so much time chit-chatting with each other they don't have time for babies? Maybe. Say what? Or for sex, yeah. Well, no, I'm not going there.
No, it's more the energy.
Yeah, so, for example, here in Tunisia, Turkey, female labor force participation is very low, around 30%, yet the fertility is only 1.5 children per woman, okay? So the article goes through these and other examples and contrasting considerations, and where they end up is that since we do spend a lot of time with social media, even in other countries around the world, women may be spending too much time on the phones, and that interferes with family formation. Right. All right, now I'm going to shift for a moment, if you'll bear with me, to Mexico. All right, talk about a hot mess. Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. All right, first, let's go back a little bit and remember that, is it Claudia or Claire Shulman, the president of Mexico? I think her name is Claudia Shulman. Okay. Originally, she handed to Trump approximately 29 heads of drug cartels for prosecution. So we thought, great, now she's on our side. She's going to work to get rid of these drug cartels. Until the announcement came, I wish I could find the reference again. I saw it, and it basically said that she refuses,
Claudia Scheinbaum.
Scheinbaum refuses to help the Americans fight the drug cartels. Excuse me, you just handed over a bunch of cartel leaders, and now you're not going to help us in the fight. That's a weird one. So somebody suggested that one of these cartels really did get to her through a threat to her family or something. We don't know. Meantime, the Americans are still getting ready. So here's two, all right? So, behold, the end for Mexican drug cartels. And the basic message of this article, the link is up there, is that a ship, the USS Gravely, yes, is patrolling the waters. I think they're in the Gulf of America. Yes, the Gulf of America. And I believe their complement is approximately 700 missiles that are highly precise. Or 96, I'm sorry, boy was I exaggerating, my apologies. So it's 96 missiles in vertical launch cells with 1,000-mile plus range. And as they describe here, these missiles are so precise that you could have a window, it'll go right through the center of the window and not even touch the frame at all. That's how precise these missiles are. So we're talking about attacking underground drug facilities in Mexico. That's what we have to look forward to. So they sent one destroyer, now they sent another one, the USS Spruance. All right, and they'll be on the Pacific side of Mexico, patrolling the waters. So we'll see how this goes. And also, just as a historical note, ladies and gentlemen, I was shocked to discover that there was a period of time, either it was under Trump's first administration or the beginning of Biden's administration, where we did actually have special forces training Mexican Marines, but then they were told to stand down in 2022. But now they've been started up again, and hopefully this time, that's right, they'll finish the job. So, speaking of finishing the job, I was thrilled to read this one. There you go. That would be the Department of Education telling medical schools to stop with their racial discrimination and quota programs. Enough. So we'll see how this unfolds, but that was pretty good. All right, so there's that. Now, there's a series of articles here. It just seems like this is a steady diet for conservatives to read articles like these. So I kind of put them together, all right. And so let me rattle them off really quick. So one says the leftists are finally embracing their inner fascist. Well, we've heard that idea before. The other is the Democrats are the party of violence. Another is Tesla attacks are proof that the left is turning on itself in an orgy of liberal cannibalism. And then to top it off, we have that article from Victor Davis Hanson where he gave what he thought were the 10 points for the Democrat agenda to continue attacking it. So things like make Trump look like Mussolini, a thoroughly evil figure, treat Elon the same way, attack open borders, keep supporting DEI, et cetera, support transgenderism. The list goes on. So in other words, everything that they did that caused them to lose the election, they're going to keep doing it. Okay. But they've decided that that's their winning formula. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why. Okay, then, now, if we go back a little bit in time, you may remember that video. Let's remember that video. It was in the House of Representatives. There it was in the hallway, and this gentleman named Jamal Bowman walked over and approached what was the fire alarm, and he pulled the fire alarm and later claimed he thought it was something else. Sure, Jamal. Well, he decided to attack Elon Musk, and Elon ain't standing for it. So he is going to sue Jamal for everything he's worth. Stay tuned. And then, yes, the conspiracy to take down Tesla is vast, organized, and well-funded. This goes back to a point that I was making a couple of weeks ago. It doesn't matter how much of the spending that's currently going on in the bureaucracy is taken or even clawed back. The liberals, the progressives, the sneaky, underhanded communists have got more than enough in the bank, so to speak, for themselves to keep running riots and other forms of protest for as long as they want. So what they're doing with Tesla is just a part of that, just to let you know. All right, meantime, though, you see, I'm not quite sure how to, let me explain the problem. When these pollsters are asking people in the street questions, they realize they have to be very careful about asking these questions. Okay, so if you ask somebody, are you inclined now, you're a Democrat, are you inclined now to vote for a Republican? Well, yes, I am. I've really had it with the Democrats. But then it turns out later on, they go ahead and vote for the Democrat anyway. And that's part of a deeper problem. Nonetheless, having said that, now we dug into the polls. Democrats in Congress should be very, very afraid. I'm not convinced. We've seen how their approval rating has reached a new low. Don't know what to say about that. Oh yeah, I know what to say about that, but I'm not gonna. So you have to take all of this with a grain of salt. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Okay, and good news from Revolver.news. So there he was. Yet another Trump-hating FBI agent who was trying to flee the country, and he got caught just in the nick of time. His name is Buma. B-U-M-A, Agent Buma. Okay, so there you go. We'll find out more about him. All right, so I mentioned earlier more captured elites in the European Union. This is part of a larger problem. I don't know, how much time have I got, Eric?
You've already gone 5 minutes over.
All right, then I have to kill this stuff quick. Yeah, so we're going to find out that there have been people who have been aiding communist China with EU for some time, and that will have to stop. That's all I can say about that. All right, meantime, Republicans moved to shut down these Chinese police stations in the U.S. Good start. We need to see more of that. I just need to remind you that the communist Chinese are embedded in the American economy, American society, American political system, in more ways than you can imagine. So this is just one little thread that you're tugging at, and you got to get the whole
Teachers'
cloth.
unions, too.
What?
They're embedded, well, actually, that was the CIA.
Yeah.
Is embedded in the teachers' unions.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's that. The CIA is a whole other subject. She's right. Okay, let's do Chris Christie. Okay, so let's just do the last thing here. Talk to you about Tina Peters. Yeah, we talked about that. So that's pretty much it. So I will see you people next week and look forward to more stuff from us.